Survival tips for the MCDM program from a true beginner. That's me. If you consider yourself a beginner, I hope you find these tips particularly helpful to you. Tip number 1. You're facing an intimidating project. You're not quite sure where to begin, or even how to go about carrying out the project. You're worried. But there's one thing you can do to increase the chance that everything's going to work out perfectly fine, and that is to simply start early. If you start early, you'll have time for all the retries you need, and you'll be very happy with the results. Tip number 2. You're going to discover in the MCDM program that many instructors assign you to working with a group on a group project. The project is pretty important. It'll have a direct impact on your grade, but also it'll have a big impact on your experience. So it's really important that you consider working with the group to be a big part of your MCDM experience. And one of the ways you can get the most out of that experience is simply to, you guessed it, start early. If you start working with your group early, there's a better chance that you will develop a synergistic relationship with the members of the group and that you'll all benefit from what each other knows. Also, you may discover if you start early that there are certain roles that people can adopt early on and carry out during the course of the project to make it all more efficient and effective. Tip number 3. Here you are. It's so exciting. You're discovering lots of new things about digital media and communication. Apply what you learn immediately. Apply what you learn so that you can benefit from it right away. And one way to do that is by setting up a Facebook page, for example, for a class that you're taking. Tweet to each other during a class that's particularly difficult to understand to help each other understand more about what's going on. Use digital media and social media to avoid suffering in silence. It's so much better to suffer out loud with your classmates. And you may discover that if you are engaged in a way that is supportive with each other, that in fact there's no suffering at all. Tip number 4. There are going to be times when things simply don't go well. Your printer breaks down. You can't figure out how your camera works. You can't figure out how a software program works, and you have really no idea how to even begin figuring it out. Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. It's helpful if you have a little phrase you say to yourself to get over the rough spot. I say things like, "My barn having burned to the ground, I can now see the moon," by Japanese poet Musahide. But you'll have your own phrase, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is you can be sure that things will get better and they'll work out, especially if you started early. So have a great time in the MCDM program. Enjoy yourself along the way. You're going to learn a ton.